Reminding our viewers that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has declared incumbent Governor Chukwuma Soludo of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, winner of Anambra 2025 governorship election. Soludo secured 422,664 votes to defeat his closest rival, Nicholas Ukachukwu, of the All Progressives Congress APC, who scored 99,445 votes, while Young Progressives Party YPP's Paul Chukwuma came third.
I therefore declare that Soludo Charles Chukwuma of the APGA, having satisfied the requirement of the law and scored the highest number of votes in this election, is hereby declared the winner and returned elected.
The returning officer, Professor Omoyegi Edoba, announced the results early yesterday after a peaceful but tightly monitored poll across all 21 local government areas of the state. In a swift reaction, however, following declaration of Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo of the party by the Independent National Electoral Commission as the winner in the recently concluded governorship election in Anambra State, candidate of the Labour Party, George Moghalu, has rejected the result. Moghalu expressed his rejection to journalists at his Inewi residence, where he alleged widespread vote buying, intimidation, and underage voting. He also claimed the results were predetermined prior to commencement of voting, stating that the party would soon announce its next steps. In the meantime, President Bola Tinubu has congratulated Governor Chukwuma Soludo of his re-election in Anambra State, describing the victory as a reflection of visionary leadership and the remarkable progress recorded under his administration. The president commended Soludo for bringing discipline, intellect, and accountability to governors, noting that Anambra, under his leadership, continues to shine as the light of the nation. The president also praised Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, for conducting what he called a credible election, urging Governor Soludo to be magnanimous in victory while assuring him of the federal government's continued partnership. Earlier, major election observer groups had expressed concern over widespread vote trading and uneven distribution of security personnel during Anambra State governorship election. Despite reports of peaceful voting in most areas, the observers warned that these lapses could undermine the credibility of the exercise. Global Television's correspondent Anietio Patrick now reports.
As voting winds down across Anambra State, reports of vote buying and security gaps have dominated early findings from election monitors. The Center for Democracy and Development, CDD West Africa, says its observers recorded multiple incidents of votes trading across several local government areas, particularly in Anambra Central and Anambra South. Party agents were reportedly seen offering between 2,000 naira and 10,000 naira to voters, sometimes through mobile money transfers, and in some cases encouraging them to snap their ballots as proof before payment. The practice was allegedly carried out in full public view, with little deterrence from security personnel.
CDD also observed a high concentration of security officials, media, and election observers in polling units associated with popular political figures. In contrast, polling units with fewer registered voters showed inadequate security coverage, which aligns with 12.7% of PUs that had no security personnel present.
However, security presence itself became another area of concern. CDD and Kimpact Development Initiative both reported that while while there was heavy concentration of police and other operatives in urban and high-profile areas, many ruling polling units had little to no security presence, creating fears of voter intimidation and potential interference. KDI revealed a troubling disconnect between the 55,000 security personnel announced for deployment and their actual ground presence, noting that some polling stations had no officers as late as 10 a.m.
The Interagency Consultative Commission on Election Security (ICES) announced the deployment of approximately 55,000 security personnel for the Anambra State governorship election across all 5,718 polling units. Field reports from our observers reveal a troubling disconnect between these figures.
The Center for Transparency Advocacy, CTA, also highlighted this uneven distribution with reports showing that 9% of polling units had no visible security presence. CTA expressed concern that such disparities could weaken voters' confidence and threaten the integrity of the process. Observers further pointed to cases of beavers malfunction, late arrival of materials, and low voter turnout, especially among youth and women, despite a generally calm atmosphere in most areas.
The inadequate welfare arrangement for police personnel deployed for the Anambra election by the police leadership. Some police personnel complained that they had nowhere to bathe and sleep and slept in open fields since they arrived in Anambra. Some also complained that they were yet to be paid their allowances, except the 1,000 budgeted for snacks for police by the INEC.
While commending INEC for early deployments in many polling units, the groups collectively urged stronger enforcement against vote buying, better logistics coordination, and equitable pace. As collation continues, all observer groups are calling on INEC and security agencies to ensure transparency in result transmission and protect the will of voters. From Awka, Anambra State, Anieti Patrick, reporting for Global TV News.
So very much on 84 following these developments in Anambra State for us. Now let's turn away from election matters. Vice President Kashif Shettima has departed Belém, Brazil, after representing President Bola Tinubu at the 30th United Nations Climate Change Conference, where he reaffirmed Nigeria's leadership in Africa's climate agenda. He participated in high-level sessions on forests, oceans, and carbon markets, highlighting Nigeria's climate financing potential of up to $3 billion per annum. The Vice President also joined world leaders in the launch of the Tropical Forests Forever Fund, pledging stronger global partnerships for environmental sustainability. The federal government has warned against vandalism on the Abuja-Kaduna-Kano highway, describing the acts as sabotage, threatening key national infrastructure. Minister of State for Works, Bello Goronyo, issued the warning during an inspection, lamenting damage to safety railings and theft of road materials by scrap collectors. He urged the residents to take ownership of public projects and ensure their protection. The presidency says Nigeria has recorded an 81% decline in terror-related deaths since 2015. In a statement on its official X handle, the presidency stated that the progress reflects improved counterinsurgency operations and stronger cooperation among security agencies, affected communities. According to the presidency, over 13,000 terrorists had been neutralized in the past year, while more than 124,000 fighters and their dependents have surrendered to authorities. In a country where the internet connects millions of jobs, education, health, and other opportunities, the rising cost of data may become a setback for national development. In light of the spike in the cost of internet connectivity that affects nearly every Nigerian, the silent impact might be unimaginable if critical policies are not put in place to regulate the sector from the standpoint of checking arbitrary pricing. In this special report, our correspondent Sadia Yakubu takes a look at the high cost of data and its adverse impacts on end users.
Today is no longer news that Nigerians are struggling to survive in the midst of numerous economic challenges, with mobile network operators in the country systematically passing on operating cost of data consumers. In addition, the sudden increase on the cost of data subscription has gradually but steadily driven business, particularly those in the micro and small brackets, to the bricks. At the height of this, questions are being asked to determine major factors driving this astronomical cost increase. We speak to a cross section of Nigerians on the streets who share their views and experiences on this issue.
See, it's not that easy for us. So, if like 2 years back or 3 years back, when I they use data, they enjoy the data. If you even buy like 5,000, you go use and they do watch YouTube, watch this. But now, just like I said that they use straw, they suck the data.
Telecommunications operators recently made a strong case for an upward review of tariff cutting across calls, text messaging, and internet data services. These developments drawing criticism from subscribers as expected, seen at least 50% increase in this regard.
The cost is becoming so much that the normal Nigerian will not be able to afford. Please, the government should help us reduce it, and I think by that way, most little business that is trying to come up can go up.
Apparently, access to affordable internet is directly linked to economic growth, education, as well as success to robust healthcare services. It is often said that when people cannot afford data, they may not also be able to access knowledge, find remotely work, or sell online. As the maximum goes, the cost of data is the cost of opportunities.
It's crazy, especially when you're using an iPhone. The data finishes on time, but at least on Android, it's still manageable. But an iPhone user, no.
The digital world is here, but how many Nigerians can truly afford to be part of it? The cost of data isn't just about Naira and Kobo. It's about access, equality, and the future. Let's push for a Nigeria where everyone can connect without going broke. Sadia Yakubu Yahya, Global Television.
Thank you so very much, Sadia. You're watching the live broadcast of the AM News here on Global Television. When the rest of the news returns, federal government approves intellectual property reforms and several others to drive digital economy. We have those details from the world of business, as well as other stories from foreign and sports segments for you. Please stay with us. Well, thank you so very much for staying with us. The second part of these news broadcasts now returns with business. The Federal Executive Council has approved 3 transformative policies that signal an era of innovation, trade, and global competitiveness in a decisive move to accelerate Nigeria's transition into a digital and knowledge-based economy. In a statement from the State House, the policies presented by Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, align with President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda and designed to diversify the nation's economic base by unlocking opportunities in intellectual property, digital trade and services exports. This policy, the government says, is expected to catalyze growth in Nigeria's creative industries, foster innovation, and attract investment by providing a structured pathway for monetizing intellectual assets. Nigeria is taking another bold step toward food security and agricultural expansion. This follows the signing of a memorandum of understanding by the National Agricultural Land Development Authority aimed at boosting cassava production and managing the Renewed Hope agenda mega farm estates in Ekiti State. Our correspondent, Aniechi Patrick, reports that the partnership is geared towards strengthening Nigeria's position in the global cassava market.
At a brief ceremony in Abuja, the National Agricultural Land Development Authority formalized a partnership with Agbeyewa Farms that will open up 5,000 hectares of farmland for large-scale cassava cultivation in Ekiti, Delta, and Kwara states. NALDA's Executive Secretary, Colinus Adebayo, said the initiative aligns with President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda for agricultural transformation and rural prosperity. He added that the partnership will create thousands of jobs and promote youth participation through in-grower and cluster farming systems.
Per hectare is reducing. Nigeria is a country blessed with vast land resources. We are increasing, now that is increasing access to land, thereby increasing the per hectare access for each farmer. So while the price of cassava is dropping, this is good for our food cost. This is also good for our production cost, so that when we produce the derivatives, we can compete globally in the international market.
The Executive Secretary commended the federal government's economic policies for boosting investor confidence, revealing that 6 new international investors have indicated interest in similar agricultural projects.
We are not only producing or cultivating for our own processing plant, but we're also cultivating for other processing plants in Nigeria, so that cassava starch will be made available. HQCF will be made available to feed the nation, because we are also dwelling in the dream of Mr. President to totally eradicate poverty in Nigeria and to also curb food insecurity in Nigeria.
With Nigeria leading global cassava production by earning little from exports, the partnership could mark a turning point in transforming rural economies and adding value to one of Nigeria's most abundant crops. Anieti Patrick, reporting for Global TV News.
Behind every sane story and screen in Hollywood lies a powerful force shaping the nation's image and inspiring millions. Prominent Nigerian filmmakers say the film industry is not just about entertainment, but the vital driver of national growth and social change. Ubong Usoro now reports.
At a recent creative festival in Abuja, Nigerian filmmakers shared how storytelling through film can serve as a tool for promoting cultural values, creating employment, and giving voice to the everyday struggles and hope of Nigerians.
It's important that we begin to look at how the Nigerian film industry, especially the Nigerian film industry, must begin to use film as a tool of passing national messages. It's important at this point in time that we must begin to cultivate in our films, at the point of scripting, when we are preparing the scripting, we must also begin to think of nation building. How do we build our nation?
Also speaking, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Creative Economy, Temitope Ajayi, said the President recognizes the important role that film plays in shaping national narratives and remains committed to supporting the sector through favorable policies and initiatives.
Of course, you know that the federal government is supporting the creative industry, the growth, and that is why when President Tinubu assumed office about more than 2 years ago, he created a whole ministry to drive his policy agenda on creative economy. So today we have the Federal Ministry of Art, Culture, Tourism, and Creative Economy.
Veteran actor and producer Francis Duro explained that movies have the power to change mindsets, inspire unity, and spark conversations around national issues such as corruption, gender equality, and youth empowerment.
Our cultural heritage today, the level of cultural diplomacy you have in Nigeria today, it started in the film. You go to Kenya, you get to all of this countries, say Igwe, they know the Nigerian dress, they know Nigerian philosophy and ideology from the films we have done. So when you talk about cultural identity, you're talking about the people's culture, the people's history, philosophy, their couture, their cuisine, and everything. And this is what film is doing. This is what film has come to do, not only in Nigeria, but Africa.
With a strong government support through funding, training, and infrastructure, stakeholders believe the industry can reach its full potential. Ubon Usoro for Global Television.
Thank you so very much, Ubon. Let's now take you to the foreign scene. The United Kingdom's Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office has issued a fresh warning against travel to parts of Nigeria, citing escalating insecurity, violent crime, terrorism, and kidnappings across multiple regions. In its latest foreign travel advice published by the office, it stated that insecurity is increasing across the country. The UK authorities advised against all travel to Borno, Yobe, Adamawa, Gombe, Katsina, and Zamfara states, citing the high and increasing threats from Boko Haram, particularly around transport hubs, religious areas, and large gatherings. The United Nations Human Rights Office in Sudan says brutal attacks are escalating in El Fasher after the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces (RSF) seized the city in the western region of Darfur last month. Lei Feng, the UN's human rights representative in Sudan, in a video said over the past 10 days, El Fasher has witnessed an escalation of brutal attacks. It has also become a city of grief. The warning comes as aid groups said that thousands of people who fled the capital of North Darfur state now face dire conditions in the town of Tawila. And still on the foreign scene, Tanzanian police have arrested opposition party Chadema Deputy Secretary General Amani Golgoa and named 9 others wanted in connection with post-election violence that left hundreds dead. The unrest followed elections in which President Samia Suluhu Hassan won nearly 98% of the votes, prompting claims of widespread repression. Over 140 people have been charged with treason as international concern mounts over the crisis. And now let's get you into the ever-exciting world of sports. The Super Eagles have opened camp in Rabat, Morocco for the 2026 FIFA World Cup playoffs. 6 players, including Calvin Bassey, Alex Iwobi, Samuel Chukwueze, Tolu Arokodare, Olakunle Olusegun, and Wilfred Ndidi, have already reported for duty. Head coach Eric Chill invited 24 players for the playoffs on Saturday. And coming closer to home, a wave of excitement swept through the University of Jos as the 27th edition of the Nigeria University Games officially opened, drawing athletes, dignitaries, and sports enthusiasts from across the country. Global Television sports correspondent Samuel Udi now reports.
The air around the University of Jos Sports Complex was electric as the first whistle signaled the start of the much-anticipated NOGA 2025 Games. Students, fans, and dignitaries gathered in excitement as match unfolds simultaneously across the venues, each showcasing the strength and unity that defines Nigerian university sports. In handball, Team Lasso battled fiercely against Federal University Minna in the opening match that kept the crowd on its feet from start to finish. Over at the indoor sport hall, the basketball court saw fast-paced action as the University of Jos took on University of Benue in a well-contested encounter, while the football arena echoed with cheers. Speaking at the official opening of the games, the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Jos, Professor Tanko Isia, expressed his pride in hosting the nation's finest young athletes and reaffirmed the institution's commitment to sports development. The day's event also drew admiration from participants and fans alike who described the atmosphere as charged with energy and purpose. Many hailed the organization and facilities provided by the host universities as top-notch. Athletes across disciplines showed skills, resilience, and passion as they varied for early victories from track events to court games. The message was clear: NOGA 2025 is set to be one of the most competitive editions yet. As the games continues through the week, all eyes remain on the medal table and the emerging stars destined to make their mark on Nigerian sporting future. With the University of Jos setting the pace for an unforgettable week of sporting excellence, the 27th NOGA Games promises not to just be a competition but also a celebration of youthful engagement and unity among national pride. Samuel Odi for Global Television News.
We appreciate your brilliant reporting there, Samuel Odi. That's how we'll call it a wrap here on the AM News. Thank you so very much for watching. I am Uyi Agmofwebe. Starting shortly is Global Morning.